This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Nermeen Sheikh. Hate speech, racism, and lies soared on the website formerly known as Twitter after it was taken over by billionaire Elon Musk last year. That's according to the Center for Countering Digital Hate. Musk has responded to the findings by filing a lawsuit against the center over the research. Elon Musk recently changed the name of Twitter to the letter X, accuses the British watchdog group of unlawfully accessing data to, quote, falsely claim it had statistical support showing the platform is overwhelmed with harmful content. Twitter gives its Twitter Blue subscribers who pay to use the platform prioritized rankings and conversations in search. The Center for Countering Digital Hate looked at 100 different paid Twitter Blue accounts and found the company failed to act on 99% of hate posts they made. This comes as Musk has laid off about 80% of the X workforce, including a large number of content moderators, and shut down its Trust and Safety Council. Meanwhile, Musk, who calls himself a free speech absolutist, has reinstated the accounts of numerous white supremacists, bigots, and conspiracy theorists. Last week, he reinstated rapper Kanye West, now known as Ye, who was removed for a series of anti-Semitic rants. For more, we're joined by two guests. Nora Benavides is Senior Counsel and Director of Digital Justice and Civil Rights at Free Press, and Imran Ahmed is CEO for the Center for Countering Digital Hate, which Musk is suing. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! Thank you so much for being with us. Imran, we're going to begin with you, as Musk is suing you. Can you explain what you found and then your response to the lawsuit?
Well, thank you for having me on. And just to clarify, we're not a British watchdog. We're a US 501c3 headquartered in Washington, D.C. We do have a British office as well, and clearly I'm British. The work that we've done since the takeover by Elon Musk is to look at what happened when he took over. So what were the changes in the scale of hate and disinformation on his platform, and also their moderation of that hate and disinformation. All platforms have community standards. The question is that those standards, which are our responsibilities as users, and also therefore a reciprocal right that we expect others to abide by them as well, and for the platform to enforce those rules, how effectively are they being enforced? Our first piece of work that you mentioned there was one that looked at the increase in the use of hate speech on that platform, so specifically at racial slurs. And what we found is a substantial increase in the use of hate speech on that platform in the weeks and months following Mr. Musk's takeover. There's other research that we've done to test their moderation capabilities. What we've done is we've literally gone out and we've reported hate on the platform, extreme hate, like, you know, the sort of stuff saying, go out and shoot gay people, or the kind of, you know, really, really appalling and abominable anti-Semitic conspiracy theories that you were just referencing in the most recent package that you had on. And then we went back and we audited what action they took. Now, with Twitter Blue users, 99 times out of 100, they took no action on extreme hate. And why? Because, I mean, you know, one can theorize very simply that that's because for these $100 a year accounts, these $8 a month accounts, that they're simply not willing to enforce the rules on them for fear of losing that revenue stream. It just shows that under Mr. Musk, the platform has become more toxic, it's got more disinformation, more hatred on there. And 9 months after our initial piece of research, he sued us about it.
And Imran, I want to ask you about the piece that you wrote for MSNBC, headlined "X Misses the Mark in Threatening to Sue My Group for Documenting Online Hate Speech." In the article, you speak specifically about the case of the artist formerly known as Kanye West, who now goes by Ye, I guess Y-E. He'd been taken off the platform, but has since very recently returned. Explain why he was deplatformed and then why he's returned.
Well, he was deplatformed for extreme anti-Semitic content that he posted. And of course, you know, there's been a lot of coverage about his particular opinions on Jewish people and his praise for Hitler, etc. But why he was let back on is part of a wave of the replatforming of giving back accounts to people who'd been kicked off by either the old administration or the current administration, which of course does enforce its rules sometimes. Because, frankly, controversy, drives attention. I mean, Musk has said many times that Twitter will survive if people are paying attention to what's happening on there. And the best way to do that is stuff that really raises our ire, in his view. So things, hate, disinformation, stuff that makes us go, that's unacceptable, get into arguments with people, go back and check whether or not people agree with us or someone else. Really, he's looking for eyeballs. And he's willing to use extreme controversy, even that the algorithms, of course, funnel the fringes, funnel the most controversial content, the most engaged with content, into more timelines. So he's turning it into a sort of a non-stop car crash with the hope of getting eyeballs so he can place ads on those on that content. And that is really the business model. It's incredibly cynical. The problem for him is advertisers don't want their content next to that. And he's lost tens of millions of dollars as a result. Now, that's what he's put in his lawsuit against us. And he's blaming us directly for having caused the loss of those hundreds of millions of dollars, those tens of millions of dollars, because we documented the hate on the platform. You know, my contention is all we do is hold up a mirror to Mr. Musk and say, do you like the reflection you see in there? And rather than do what anyone responsible would do, which is say, there's a problem, I need to fix that, this is mine, he said, I'm going to sue the mirror.
Well, Imran, I mean, you've said, of course, and he has, Musk and Twitter have lost tens of millions of dollars since he took charge. But despite that, or maybe because of it, Musk says that he wants to expand the platform, now called X, into an everyday app akin to China's WeChat, which includes not just messaging, but also, or posting, but also messaging, payments, videos, and other forms of media and exchange. If you could comment on that.
You know, if Mr. Musk has plans to expand his business, I wish him I wish him all luck with it. I have no problem with him making money. I have no problem with people doing business. What I have a problem with is that when there is hate and disinformation being algorithmically amplified into billions of timelines, it's perfectly right that people that oppose the spread, the production and distribution of hate, seek to research it and seek to put that out into the public sphere. That is, after all, our First Amendment right to do so. And Mr. Musk's attempt to strategically litigate to stop us from publicly participating, so a slap suit, you know, that is really it's incredibly cynical coming from someone who purports to be very pro-speech. And to do so by going after civil society. Look, you've got Nora on as well, who's a friend, and our organizations and many others do research on these platforms, do advocate for better experiences for users on those platforms with less hate and disinformation. And of course, because of the huge human rights and civil rights implications of the spread of hate and disinformation, I don't want to make the obvious connection to what we saw in Pittsburgh or what we saw in Colorado Springs, but there is a very strong public interest reason to expose what happens on these platforms. And it is vital, therefore, that CCDH resist this lawsuit. He's trying to crush a small organization. I mean, he is the world's richest man, and we are an organization that's relatively small. We're a 501c3. We rely entirely on public donations. And we're going to have to make sure that we don't allow this litigation to succeed, because if it does, it will have a broader chilling effect across anyone who wants to comment on the businesses Mr. Musk runs.
So Elon Musk calls you a rat, Imran Ahmed, and calls your organization evil. You have a powerful lawyer representing you in Robbie Kaplan, who represents E. Jean Carroll. Are you getting increased death threats? Is your organization being threatened?
I mean, if death threats came into the organization, I wouldn't get to see any against me, but I know that, you know, we are perfectly aware that I have a responsibility to 20 staff who I care about, who are, who are intelligent, brilliant advocates for our cause. And we do everything that we need to do to make sure that our staff are safe psychologically and physically. What I will say to you is that when a man like that calls you a rat, he knows the language he uses. I mean, he may not be a stable genius, but he is a clever man. And he knows what he's doing when he calls someone evil and a rat. And I'll tell you something. We've pushed back against that. The amazing thing for me, and I'm not someone that is particularly needy of praise or affirmation, but so many people, from the actor Mark Ruffalo through to all of our colleagues in civil society, through to politicians, have stood up and said, absolutely, this is outrageous. Because this is a group that I set it up because my colleague Jo Cox MP, a 35-year-old mother of two, was assassinated by a far-right terrorist who believed in the Great Replacement theory in Britain 7 years ago. And I knew that social media and the way that social media platforms were allowing and accelerating the distribution of conspiracy theories that led to my colleague's death, had a responsibility, and I wanted to make sure that they recognized that responsibility. I think the irony of this entire situation is that in an attempt to shut down transparency on his platform and accountability, what Mr. Musk has done is created an unimpeachable case and a cacophony of support for federal transparency and accountability legislation in the United States. It's unacceptable that in the European Union with the Digital Services Act, in the United Kingdom with the Online Services Bill, that there is absolutely nothing in the US to ensure that researchers have access to information on these platforms that we know have massive impact on individual psychology. We do a lot of work on the impact on kids as well. It's bad, and on our democracy. It's unacceptable that they can operate in such a opaque and unaccountable way. And of course, I think that by winning this case and by defending this case vigorously, we will create that broader case for federal transparency and accountability legislation.
I want to bring Nora Benavides into this conversation and to talk about Twitter, now known as X, internationally. Can you talk about its record in censoring ethnic minorities in India and dissidents in Turkey, working with China to censor critics? Elon Musk claims that Twitter's predecessors did the same thing. Is that true?
Sure. Well, Amy, it's wonderful to be here with you, and it's wonderful to be here with Imran as well, hearing this story and working closely with the center. It's been an incredible journey watching, and I think the only response when we get attacked by bullies is to stand up and to come together. So I look at this long track record that Elon Musk has when it comes to silencing critics. That's his go-to tactic to evade accountability. He has done that over and over again. He did it even before he took over Twitter. Back when he was running Tesla, he had a long track record of silencing people. He fired employees who spoke about malfunctions with their cars. He colluded with and partnered with the Chinese government to make sure that any malfunctions at all on listservs would be minimized. And that kind of bad behavior, that silencing of critics, has transferred to Twitter, or X. And now we've really seen 8 or so months of just a long track record of Elon Musk going after anyone who tries to be critical of something he doesn't like. And so, as you say, he has a global track record of this. There was a BBC documentary which explored the targeting by the Indian government of the Muslim minority population. And what he did was he systematically worked with the Modi government to make sure that posts about that BBC documentary, that supported it, that applauded the kind of attention that needed to come to that issue in India, was suppressed, minimized, and downgraded on the platform. He has other examples, of course, where he sort of cherry picks content. When he doesn't like what someone is saying, he uses the biggest platform in the world to make sure that people don't see it. He removes journalists when he doesn't like what they are saying or the way that they are covering him. He makes sure that competition with Twitter is also minimized. This is sort of as Imran said, a cacophony. And the chaos that Elon Musk has created means that it's hard for us to track it unless we have the researchers in place, the kinds of tools and the transparency that shine a light on what's really happening in a company that Elon Musk has done everything to hide from us, to evade accountability.
Nora Benavides, we want to thank you so much for being with us, Senior Counsel and Director of Digital Justice and Civil Rights at Free Press, and Imran Ahmed, CEO of the Center for Countering Digital Hate.